say, oh, please give me some hint. Then he gives some hint. Then again with that hint, we try to solve. Then again we say, oh, please give some more hint. And he gives some more hint. Then we are able to solve. Similarly, this is a game. And best game which I can think of which matches this game is the game of hide and seek. It's the most famous game. I mean, most famous means most popular game as far as little children are concerned in the entire world. Right from beginningless time, I think, hide and seek game is the most interesting game. One person closes his eyes and others hide somewhere, and you have to go and seek. This is a beautiful hide and seek game which God is playing with himself. He himself has become all of us, and he is hiding. And he has told every one of us that you have to seek me. And when you seek me, you will get the reward. And now and then he leaves hints here and there in the form of various experiences, various books, various teachers. He leaves some hints and he reveals himself slowly and steadily. So, sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti. So, we are born at a particular level of our spiritual evolution. Then we go through our life and we progress if we work towards it. Then we keep progressing, and ultimately we will come to realize our own supreme nature. So, sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. So, for this we have to proactively work and move towards this state of realization. We will leave some few shlokas for tomorrow. But now I will take up some of the questions which have come up. You can still put your questions. So I will take up these few questions today and then take few questions tomorrow also. I have not read these questions, have just come. Okay. Ready? Yes. Arjuna was lucky to have Bhagwan Krishna to guide him. What about tuchya prani like us? See, first of all, we need not call ourselves tuchya prani and all. Because if we are the very expression of God, the divinity, then nobody is tuchya. Tuchya means low. Nobody is. As I said, that everyone is expression of that divinity only. That is the first thing which we have to understand. And that is what we understand from Bhagavad Gita when Bhagwan addresses Arjuna. He always addresses him as Anagha, as Mahabaho, as Bharatarshabha. Bharatarshabha, best among the Bharatas, as Kaunteya. He doesn't say, oh foolish Arjuna. Oh crazy, oh tuchya prani Arjuna. He doesn't say like that. He always talk about him, though he is at an ignorant stage only, but he is addressing the divinity within. So this is one thing the questioner should understand. From where do we get a guide like him in this Kali Yuga? We have to ourselves become a good seeker and God will come. In fact, every one of us, depending on our need and our intensity, guide comes. In fact, if you look back into your life, you will find that whenever I wanted anything was necessary for me, it came to me. It comes. It's the most amazing thing. You don't have to. It depends on, sometimes we feel that, oh, this type of person should come or that should come or nothing like that. We should be able to recognize that help which comes to us in different ways. So it will come. In Ramayana story of Hanumanji going to Lanka, and Vibhishan was surprised that you came all the way to Lanka to guide me. That I had never expected that in this Lanka, which is filled with all these Rakshasas, that some good person will come and talk about God, and you have come. So God will make the arrangement for you wherever you are, whether it is Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga, it doesn't matter. How do we trust that one as we see so many Mahatmas making money in the name of God? You will meet that people according to you. If you need some cheating in your life, you will meet that type of person also. Every experience which we get in our life is for my own good and for my own benefit. Slowly and steadily, I will rise. So you will find, you become sincere. It's like a flower. The flower, when it blooms, the bees, they come there. No, flower is not bloomed. कली भी नहीं आई है, and it is the plant is saying, पता नहीं बीज लोग आजकल आते नहीं हैं. गधे ही गधे आते हैं यहाँ पर. Gade will come because there are no flowers now. But when the flowers come, then the bees will come. So don't worry about who is making how much money and all. You move on in your path properly. Exceptions might be there, but how do we recognize? So you do what you know as good and proper, then guide will come. Don't go in search of guide. Don't go in search of teachers. You do what you know is proper and this, then automatically the world will unfold in front of you. Because many people go in search of teachers or guru hunting and all those things, and they are whole time shopping only. Shopping for gurus. So you do what you think is right, that inspiration, because guru will not come in the form of person also. Good thoughts. When good thought is coming, guru is coming and telling you something. Do it, implement it. Then further guidance will be given. But if you fail to implement that, then you will not get further guidance. So it's like a person who is walking, so he is given guidance, from here you go there. Once he goes there, then he will get some other guide who will show him further path. So even good thoughts, when it comes to our mind, it is coming from a teacher only. Ishvara himself is the teacher who guides us at every moment. It's a big one. In Bhagavad Gita class, it has been told time and again that all living beings are like tiny little pots of different shapes, each filled up with space and are existing within the space. Here pots resemble with the bodies of different creatures, space within them with Jivatma and outer space with Paramatma. Pots are perishable, but space within them are not. When a pot breaks, the space within it occupies another newly born pot and continues its journey to attain the supreme realization. Another example is often stated about millions of waves and the ocean. Waves are born out of ocean, do some activity and merges with the ocean when they break. Now comes this is the prastavana. Now comes the question. Does the Atma within us also merges with Paramatma or Brahma when we die? With death alone, we don't get the state of realization. Because with death, only the outer painting of that pot is removed and new paint is applied to it. Pot remains same. The mind, the intellect, our samskars remain same. Only the outer body falls off and a new body is acquired. So the pot is totally not broken. Only uska color chale gaya hai, naya painting karke aa jata hai. So with that alone, we won't get the state of realization. We have to recognize it while we are alive, that we are that Atma which is like space, and the self in me and self in all is same. If not, then how much time it takes to acquire a new body? It depends on the samskar. Once we die, immediately we actually go into another experience. For that experience, whatever body and all is required, we get it. like our dream. As soon as we leave the waking state, we go into dream or in deep sleep state. Similarly, as soon as person dies, he goes into another state of experience with another set of body and another set of world around. So, and sometimes he might go into a state of like deep sleep. So that is there. So we need not worry about it. We just put forth effort to move ahead on my spiritual journey in this lifetime itself. Whether the Atma of our father and the forefathers are still existing somewhere with their identity. Lot of questions. This Atma is one only. So the Atma, when we say a father and grandfather, is one. But that Jiva means that mind and intellect, that personality identified with mind and intellect, that exist. If they have not attained the state of realization, then they exist in some form or other. If not in this world, in some other world. So as long as we don't realize ourselves, we exist as an individual, that personality, some aspect of that personality keep on modifying, changing, but the essential aspect of that personality remains, and we exist in and keep on taking different forms. So even the forefathers and all, if they have not attained that state of realization, they are there somewhere. They might be in this lifetime itself. They might be your own neighbor, friend, or anyone around. We don't know. Or they might be in some other lokas, Pitrulok, or Swargalok, or some other lokas. We don't know. If the Jivatma merges with the Paramatma just like little space within a pot with the outer space, or water of a wave with the water of the ocean, and again born taking another body, then that identity remains or not. Once that Jiva understands that I am that Paramatma, there is no more birth and death. He goes into different state of existence. There is no punarjanma for such a realized person. So it's like a person who has woken up from the dream, then the dream disappears for him. He remains awake. So a person who has gained the state of enlightenment is not born again as a ignorant jiva. Whether Shraddha and Tarpan has any significance? Yes, Shraddha and Tarpan is given to us in our scriptures, and it has got a significance in the world. Like for example, if I am dreaming and if I am hungry, then I have to eat the dream food. It has got significance. But when I wake up, it is all gone. Similarly, if I am living in this world, I am interacting with all of you. Even those who have dead and gone, they are also there somewhere in this entire Brahmanda. And all of us are connected. All of us are connected, and those who are close to us, some personality who are close to us as our forefathers and all, they are more intimately connected. So every action we do, it has got effect on them also. So if the things are given in our scriptures, we should do it. If that question is asked, whether one has to do that, then we should do it. Since it is given in the scriptures, and scriptures have revealed something more than what we normally understand, so one should just do it if you have the capacity and if you can do it, then just do it. It has got a significance. Okay. I understand para prakriti is consciousness. How is it different from Atma within us? Atma too is pure consciousness. Kindly clarify. That is a good question. See, this apara prakriti is made up of this matter, the 5 elements, man, buddhi, ahankar and all. And para prakriti is that consciousness which is the witness of this apara prakriti. So consciousness related to apara prakriti, which is seeing the apara prakriti, which is controlling the apara prakriti, which is expressing through the apara prakriti as life, that consciousness which we experience as awareness, we are aware of things around us, that consciousness is called the para prakriti. But when that consciousness drops all this identity and seeing of this apara prakriti and just gets established in its own nature, then that alone is that Atma. So, as I said yesterday also, I think that para prakriti is of the nature of the self of the Lord only, and apara prakriti is more illusory. So, it is also called prakriti because at that point it is expressing with respect to the apara prakriti. I become the seer of the apara prakriti. When I drop that seeing the apara prakriti also and get established in my own self, which is beyond all seeing also, then I am that pure self. Otherwise I become a seer. So that concept of seer is something even lower than my real nature. So thus para prakriti is seer and apara prakriti is seen, and when both of them are or the seen is merged into the seer and the seer remains in his own nature, then he is not different from that self. So this is a very subtle point and a good question. You think about it, contemplate on it. You will come to understand. What is the difference between Ishvara and Brahma? Sri Ram and Sri Krishna are avatars of Sri Vishnu. So what is the position of Sri Vishnu and Sri Shiva and Mahesh in the scheme? See, the Ishvara is Brahma alone along with his Prakriti. When Brahma, we talk about Brahma along with his Prakriti, Apara and Para Prakriti, we give the name Ishvara. So Brahma with his Apara and Para Prakriti itself expresses as this world with all jivas. So that Brahma is Ishvara and all this world and the jiva. So essentially Ishvara, the real nature of Ishvara is Brahma only. And when we talk about these various avatars, they are all avatars of Ishvara. They are actually beings who have recognized themselves as Brahma right from their birth, who have recognized that I am that Brahma. So they are born with that recognition, with that understanding. Normally what happens, we are born ignorant and then we gain that state of realization. But there are beings who are born with knowledge of their own real nature. Such beings, we call them avatar, like Ram and Krishna and all. So they are great avatars. When we talk about Ishvara, when we say Ishvara, he has got the power to create the world, to sustain the world, and to dissolve the world. So, 3 more names are given to Ishvara. Therefore, I did not want to take all these names because the more names you take, more confusion. But now the question has come. So, Ishvara alone is called Brahma as a creator, Vishnu as a sustainer, and Shiva as one who dissolves. So, Ishvara alone has got 3 names based on the threefold expressions of Ishvara. So, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are one Ishvara only with 3 names. So, when he creates the world, Ishvara is called Brahma. When he sustains the world, he is called Vishnu. And as a sustainer of the world, then he comes as avatar. So we say Vishnu's avatar to sustain the world, to protect the world and all. And as Shiva, he swallows the world into himself. So Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are the names of Ishvara only. Then again Vishnu Bhagwan as Ishvara as Vishnu, in order to sustain this world, he has various powers. Those powers are called the various gods. So with the help of all these gods, he as though sustains this world. Just like in our government also, then there are various ministers are there, and they have their own portfolios, and they have their own work and all. So similarly, that one God alone is expressing as this world, and his power alone is there in every aspect of this world. Those powers are called gods, little gods. So all this whole concept has to be understood clearly. So I suggest that you just focus your attention on understanding Bhagavad Gita only properly without bringing other terms and all. Then it becomes more confusing. Because here Bhagwan is not using Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh and all those terms are not used. And whenever if they are used, we will explain. So try to understand the theory behind it. And all these terms and all are used for easy comprehension, but because they are too many, sometimes we get confused because of them. Why is the role of Adi Shakti not explicitly explained? Why is Radhaji not even mentioned in Bhagavad? This Adi Shakti is what we call this Prakriti. Maya or Apara and Para Prakriti together, they are called Adi Shakti. You can call them Adi Shakti, you can Prakriti, Maya, whatever names. And why Radhaji is not mentioned, I don't know. How do I know? I have not written Bhagavad. Can the raising of those who do Bhagavad Katha, they give some explanation. You can refer to them. Can the raising of Kundalini not lead to self-realization? Academic knowledge of Holy Gita or other Shastra cannot lead to emancipation. How does one get to feel and love God? This raising of Kundalini Shakti and all also helps in understanding, in gaining the understanding. In fact, when one follows this path of spirituality, all the powers within the body and within our personality also gets enhanced. So but I don't know the path of this raising Kundalini Shakti, but even that path, if one follows sincerely, it's a yogic path. If one follows it sincerely, it will also lead to the same state of realization. But that Shakti also will give us knowledge. Like in 10th chapter, Bhagavan says, even if you follow the path of bhakti, I will give you knowledge. So even if you follow the path of this raising Kundalini, when it rises at a particular level, one gains knowledge. And that knowledge alone will then lead to the state of surrender and realization. So academic understanding of this Holy Gita and other Shastras will lead to that state because it is the path given to us by the scriptures only. Our great attachment to action is making us not realize the importance of knowing. In fact, all changes in our personality has happened because of knowing only. Our evolution is happening because of knowing. So this study of this Bhagavad Gita and contemplation on it and then meditating on based on this understanding will take us to that state of enlightenment. How does one get to feel and love God? You see, this question also is about knowing only. We are asking how. So here Bhagavan has given his vibhutis. So he has said that I exist in water, I exist on land, I exist in the sun, the moon. So you just keep that feeling in your heart that God alone is existing in this world, and with every experience try to remember that. And slowly, that itself is what we call our puja and all. Puja is nothing but to remember that that divinity is there in this murti, that divinity is there in this river. And therefore, for that we do some upachar to help us to remember. We do some upachar to help us. We talk, for example, you talk to God. It will help you to remember that He is there. You offer something to Him. It will help you to remember and feel His presence in the world. So these are certain upcharas mentioned in our scriptures which help us to remember. So if you want to love, there are methods, like first is Shravanam. Listen to the nature of God from the scriptures and all. And as you understand His nature more and more, automatically you will develop that love and respect for God. So even in the bhakti literature, Shravan is the first step. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. Shravan and Atmanivedan. In Jnana Marga, also Shravan, Manan, and Atmanivedan is nothing but Nididhyasan. So what is elaborately described in bhakti literature is nothing but various steps of mananam only, so that we contemplate and feel the presence of God. Then Atmanivedan is nothing but that state of meditation wherein we surrender ourselves to that God. So you follow this path and one will gain that state of enlightenment. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.